Welcome to the Academic Essay Writing Review of English 1113 Basics. All the information in this PowerPoint can be found in the Master Guide to Essay and Rhetoric, plus a lot more. Again, this is just an overview to remind you of what you learned in Comp 1 or the way I teach Comp 1. So the first thing is defining an academic essay. Basically, an academic essay communicates a message with a purpose to an audience. And all of those are really, really important. And we'll talk about some of those parts here in a little bit. But this kind of gives you a breakdown of the components, right? So usually we're looking at a 3-part essay: introduction, body, and conclusion. We must have a thesis statement that communicates the purpose and the position of the writer. It's going to be written in a formal academic style and third-person objective point of view, not first person, which would be I or me in first person singular, or we or us in first person plural. And it's not written in second person, which is you, right? It's written in third person, which is he, she, it, they, them. There are exceptions, and again, every essay assignment is going to lay out what you can and can't do, so just pay attention to your handouts. Academic essays are going to reflect sound critical thinking and logic, though there is a place for emotion, which we'll talk about when we talk about the rhetorical triangle. Primarily, we're not writing opinion papers. We are writing objective analyses of an issue and making an argument based on more than just our opinion and our experience, but what we can prove, right? And so to do that, we have to think critically and apply logic to what we think or what we find. When we finally do send out a paper for formal reading, we want to make sure that it has been through multiple revisions, editings, and proofreadings of the draft. And then again, it's going to reflect that rhetorical triangle. The writing process is considered a recursive process in a series of steps. This is the linear way that we have the process, but by being recursive, it means that we can repeat any of these stages or go to any of them in any order that we want. This just makes the most sense to do it in this way. So we're going to go through those here. Okay, so pre-writing is our first stage, often called invention or exploration. This is where we're just trying to find a topic to write about, or we're trying to figure out what do we know or want to say about a topic. There are 4 different kinds. Brainstorming is a 5-minute timed pre-writing where we're just listing words and short phrases. We're not writing in sentences or paragraphs here. We're just jotting down things, kind of like you make a grocery list or a to-do list. And so we're focused on whatever it is we're trying to think of ideas for. So it could be that we don't know what our topic is. We got to find a topic. So we might brainstorm by jotting down in 5 minutes everything we could possibly think to write about. Free writing is a 10 to 15 minute timed exercise. This is where we're writing more about ideas, so it's more in kind of just a real long journal format or paragraphs. The key here is that we don't edit and we don't stop. We have to continue writing no matter what. And it kind of gets all of our ideas down on the paper so that we can start seeing whatever's been in our head. The journalism questions are really good at finding specific kinds of evidence and really kind of analyze an issue. And so you don't just ask each question once. You take the who and you say, well, who can I write to? You know, who are my different possible audiences? Who was involved? Who was affected, right? My what, I could say, what happened? What were the consequences? What was the problem? You know, where did this happen? Where did it start? You know, those kind of things. So you're asking multiple, and we call them journalism questions because you're an investigative reporter and you're trying to get all of the information possible so then you can figure out what's going on, right? Clustering is a 4th common type of pre-writing. It is a spatial one where you're using diagrams and all sorts of different arrangements of ideas to show the development of your idea. So on the right there, you see kind of a basic clustering diagram. Sometimes it's called clouding. or mind mapping. So what you're going to see is that in the center of the page, you're going to, in either a square, sometimes you double circle it or whatever, you're going to put your main idea. And then you're going to have little satellites that branch out from that main idea, and they're going to have a different shape, or instead of maybe being a double bubble, you just single bubble it. But you're going to write all of the points that you could make about that main idea. And then from each of these, you're going to have little satellites that come out that are, what could you say about each of these ideas, right? So it's just a way to start laying out what you could say. And I've only got 3 or 2 or 1 point there. You can have as many of these as comes to mind, right? The diagram on the left is another version of this. That's actually more of a flow chart. So you can see guns on campus as the example. And then my first layer of ideas are safety types and more options. And then from each of those, I've got another branch of ideas that I could use for those, right? And this one actually, the one on the left is really good as a kind of a spatial outline once you maybe know what you want to talk about. But again, there can be more than just 3 points on the first level. There can be more than just 2 points on the third level per each idea, right? It can go on and on as long as possible.